Hey, good morning, everybody. Great to see you this morning. Although, watch out, it is Friday, September 13. Oh, my God. Anyhow, hey, it doesn't matter to us. We're still here. We still got lots to talk about. We got a show to do, and we welcome you to the Bill Press Show this Friday morning, coming to you live from our nation's capital with the news of what's going on here in Washington, D.C., what's going on around the country and around the globe. And then we will open up the phones and the social media sites and get your comments. The toll-free number to call is 866-55-PRESS. Your comments welcome on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. So much to talk about, so little time. We are headed down the path toward peace in Syria. Talks began in Geneva yesterday, but it's clear already this is not going to be an easy path. President Assad says, yeah, I'll sign the Chemical Weapons Convention, but it's going to take about a month or so before I'm able to release any chemical weapons. And meanwhile, you guys have to stop threatening to bomb me. John Kerry says, grow up, get serious. We don't have that much time to wait. This is not a game. Meanwhile, at the Vatican, two big shocking bits of news. The new Secretary of State for the Vatican says, celibacy, maybe it's time to rethink celibacy as a requirement for Catholic priests. And the Pope himself said, do you have to believe in God to get to heaven? No way, he says. That's not necessary. All you have to do is follow your conscience. Both of those things in direct contradiction to former Pope Benedict XVI, who must be going crazy living inside those Vatican walls. All of that and more. Lots coming up here this Friday on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power.
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am
I am
tired,
tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. the American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, what do you say? Hello, everybody. Great to see you today. Did you know it's a Friday? Wait, did you realize it's Friday the 13th? Yeah, get back in bed. We're not supposed to get up on Friday 13th. It's scary. But it's still our favorite day around the Bill Press Show, and yours as well, I'm sure. We love those Fridays when they roll around. We'll put up with it even if it's number 13. Great to see you today. Wherever you happen to be in this great land of ours, thank you for taking time to join us this morning. It's a good way to start your day because we will let you know what's going on in this great, big, wide, wonderful world of ours. Whether it's here in our nation's capital where we hang out, or across the nation, any corner of the land where you hang out, or around the globe. And boy, we're excited to find out more and more people around the globe, thanks to the magic of the internets, as as George Bush used to call it. That more and more people around the globe are joining us on our program. You see, because they want to find out what's happening in the United States of America, and some Americans, expats or whatever, want to know what's happening back home. Wherever you happen to be, good to have you with us. Don't forget, you can join the conversation at any time. We invite your comments. I mean, we depend on your comments because this is a two-way street. That's what a town hall meeting is. We'll tell you what's going on. You tell us what's going on. You tell us what it all means to you. At 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. Join us online on Twitter at BP Show. Easy enough, at BP Show. And on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. We are almost complete, the team this morning. Dan Henning's got the morning off, so Peter Ogburn is wearing about 5 hats this morning.
I'm here.
Hello, Peter.
Happy Friday.
You're wearing one hat.
I am wearing one hat.
Make love, not war, or
make cornbread, not war. Yes, indeed. You can make love. You can make love too.
You can make love while you're making cornbread, but it's difficult. I've tried it.
You want to be careful.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Let's stop right there before we start talking about. Never mind.
Yeah, don't.
Alicia Cruz there on the phones. Alicia, good morning, Alicia. And didn't want to shock you this morning. And Cyprian Balding. He's the one's probably really shocked by all that sex talk.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but he's got he's got the video cam going, keeping us looking good on that video feed and on Free Speech TV because we're coming to you live. It's a radio show, so we're on the radio. We're on your local progressive talk radio station. How lucky you are if you've got one. But we also got this little thing on TV, too, called Free Speech TV, where they carry the radio show. So glad that they do. Honored that they do. And you can join that if you got a satellite dish. Just find us on the Dish Network or on DirecTV. And then, of course, online, you can go to youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR TV, TawkrTV. Well, Michelle Obama, First Lady, she's expanded, her that jumping up and down, keep moving.
Let's move.
The Let's Move campaign, and and then she's that, and part of that, of course, is eating well. She's always out there telling kids eat their veggies and have a good balanced diet, and now she's expanded that to not only that, but also keep yourself well lubricated by drinking lots of water. She was at a school here in the District of Columbia yesterday with that message.
Did you know that more water helps you have more energy and stamina so that you can do more and focus longer? And considering how early you all have to wake up every day, I bet that sounds pretty good, huh? So, drink up.
There's a campaign I can believe in.
College students everywhere embrace
Drink
her
up.
motto. Drink up.
I can see. She might be running for president someday with that slogan. Drink up. How many times have I said that?
It's Friday. Drink up.
I was in Friends last night. Drink up.
Drink up.
At a great bar here in the district.
That's right.
So there you go. Drink up. And a lot of water, too, while you're at it, or iced tea, as I happen to prefer in the morning. Got a great lineup for you today. Susan Paige will join us, as she has been doing every Friday for some time. She's the Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today. Then we'll be joined by reporter friends from Huffington Post and Politico, and Democratic strategist Peter Fenn will be here in studio as a friend of Bill. Great guy with Peter's great insights into the political atmosphere today and what impact Syria might be having on the politics of the day, as well as the big fight over Obamacare. We'll get into all of that. Plus, the Pope really has shaken things up, Pope Francis, by saying, yeah, it's okay if you don't believe in God. What? But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
A couple of other stories making news. Williams Sonoma is in some hot water. The upscale kitchen retailer has been sued by Julia Child's Foundation. According to the lawsuit, Williams Sonoma has been using images and likenesses of Child in their promotional materials. The lawsuit, which does not specify monetary damages being sought, lists over 100 times that Child's image was used without consent. A quick search that was done by Eater.com finds that Williams Sonoma has a Pinterest board dedicated to Child, blog posts, and Facebook posts with photos and a promotion in which customers who left comments on their blog had a chance to win a collection of Child's cookbooks, which you cannot do. So they have been sued.
Williams Sonoma is a great chain.
It is.
Started in Sonoma County. Right?
Yes, indeed.
Right in my backyard in California. But
everybody loves Julia Child.
Everybody, but you know that her foundation and her image, and so they got to get permission for that kind of stuff. So I hope they work that out.
Yeah,
should have known better.
Peace was given a chance, and peace up and left. Unbeknownst to many residents of Washington, D.C., there has been a peace protest near the White House that had been running for 32 years. Connie Picciotto, a 77-year young woman, has led the protest over the course of those years from a makeshift camp near Lafayette Square. Sadly, in the overnight hours of Thursday morning, the one protester abandoned the site, and park police dismantled the camp, which keeps up with their rules about structures that aren't being manned. And with that, the 32-year protest was over.
Yeah.
The good news is that when Picciotto heard about the cancellation and the destruction of the camp, she promptly set up a new camp and began a new protest in the same spot. So here's to the next 32 years of protest.
I went down to the White House yesterday for the briefing, and I there was something wrong. There was something I just couldn't figure out what was wrong, what was different. And I realized that tent was not there. I mean, it's there every day, and she's there every day. She lives there.
Yeah.
During the day.
And there's a group of people who sort of helps man it on the overnight hours.
To take a potty break or overnight, somebody else, and that person didn't show up. And the park police, which I think was a little tacky on their part.
I agree.
Yeah, they could have said, hey, what happened to you guys? You've been here for 32 years.
Right.
And then you leave for 1 hour and they tear the thing down.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that place. I didn't realize it had been going on for as long as it had.
Yeah.
So they've started a new one. And going where no space junk has gone before, NASA confirmed something that they have never, ever confirmed before. A man-made object has left the solar system and entered interstellar space. NASA's Voyager was launched in 1977, complete with the technology of its day, and it had been rocketing towards infinite space for the past 36 years. It's taken several days for NASA to confirm the actual exit from the solar system due to the fact that they're operating on technology from 1977. But yesterday they made it official. It has left the solar system.
I saw that article this morning. This is stunning to me. I mean, I don't really understand what it means, but when you say that it's gone beyond the solar system,
yeah.
So like what's out there? You know what I mean?
Who knows?
We don't even understand really the solar system.
Right.
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 So this thing has penetrated beyond that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That thing has seen some things.
Yeah. He's probably seen some things now, too. Whoa. Hey, I got to tell you, you don't have to be a Catholic to know that this is a big shakeup going on now. And, when this new pope was elected, I thought, I liked his style, but I figured, it was sort of like, when Esso changed his name to Exxon. It's new name, but the same old gas. I didn't really expect it. So a different style maybe, but the same old crap when it comes to some of the outmoded policies of the Catholic Church. But as I said, you don't have to be a Catholic to understand that this Pope now is really shaking things up. And two things this week that really, really were like the historic proportions in terms of changes in the church if they follow through, okay? The first is not the Pope himself, but his number two guy, who wouldn't have said this without talking about it with the Pope, the new Secretary of State, Archbishop, said, was asked about celibacy for priests. That's been a big issue. And the church is losing priests. There are not as many priests being ordained. They're shutting down parishes all around the world because they don't have enough priests. And a lot of people have said, well, they just let priests get married, just like Protestant ministers can be married or rabbis can be married or members of the other Catholic, the other branches of the Catholic Church, like the Orthodox Church or the Russian Orthodox or the Greek Orthodox, that those priests can get married. Just let priests get married. But up until this last Pope, Benedict XVI, everybody said, no, because Jesus was single, then all priests have to be single. Well, the new Secretary of State says, maybe not. It's time to reconsider that. It's time to rethink that because, as he pointed out, it's really a matter of church history, not church law. Priests were married. Roman Catholic priests were married for 1,000 years, and then for the last 1,000 years, they haven't been allowed to be married. So the Secretary of State said, maybe we ought to change it. Whoa. What do you think about that? 866-55-PRESS. Boy, I think it's way, way past time to do that. Number two, and I say that some of you may know, as somebody who studied for the priesthood, never was ordained, studied for the priesthood for 10 years before I left. Then the second thing that happened is the Pope himself was asked whether or not you have to believe in God to go to heaven. And the Pope said, no. All right, I want to read it correct, just his quote directly. He wrote to La Repubblica newsletter and says, quote, you ask me if the God of the Christians forgives those who don't believe and who don't seek the faith. I start by saying, and this is the fundamental thing, that God's mercy has no limits if you go to him with a sincere and contrite heart. The issue for those who do not believe in God is to obey their conscience. So he's saying it doesn't matter. Atheists, you can go to heaven. Non-believers, you can go to heaven, just like all the other believers, as long as you follow your conscience and do what you think your conscience tells you is what's right and what's wrong. And you know what? He is absolutely right, right? That's what our founding fathers said, in the kind of Declaration of Independence. Do we all have this inherent, innate sense of what's right and what's wrong, and you follow that, and you're living the good life, and you get the good reward at the end. You get the big pizza at the end. All right, so here's my question to you.
This is fascinating, but it's amazing. This turns everything that I ever learned on its head.
Upside down.
Totally.
But, there are those who believe that if you're not a Catholic, you can't go to heaven. Or if you're not a Jew, you can't go to heaven. Or if you're not a Protestant, you can't go to heaven, right? Now, then it was radical to say, no, it doesn't matter which religion, as long as you believe, you can go to heaven. Now the Pope is saying it doesn't even matter what you believe, which raises the question. I loved your take on this, 866-55-PRESS, is then why all the tra-la-la about going to church every Sunday? What does organized religion mean, if anything, anymore? It's something that you can do as a hobby, right? But you don't have to do it, so why do it?
It's a great place for meeting people.
Yeah, right.
Socialize.
They have date clubs. They have maybe a Boy Scout troop or something. They have bake-ins or something, that kind of stuff. Yeah. They might have dance. Bingo! They got bingo, right? But otherwise, doesn't really matter. I mean, doesn't it sort of say that organized religion, all the time you spend praying, all the time you spend reading the Bible, all the money you give these churches, right? All their tax exemption, it is all meaningless, right? In the end. Isn't that what the Pope is saying? I got to tell you, man, he's going to talk himself out of a job if he keeps going. 866-55-PRESS. What does it all mean if you don't have to believe in God to get the eternal reward? 866-55-PRESS. Let's talk about it here this Friday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. When I say done, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
So the Pope says you don't have to believe in God as long as you follow your conscience. Good advice, but coming from the Pope, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? What's it all mean? And what about all those years we spent in Sunday school, going to Sunday Mass, going to Sunday church, or still do? 866-55-PRESS. The Pope says sin even exists. Sin, even for those who have no faith, exists when people disobey their conscience. What he says is the only thing that matters is follow your conscience, do what your conscience tells you is right or wrong, and you'll be okay. Rose is in Ligonier, Indiana. Hey, Rose, what's this all mean?
Well, I actually have to take my hat off to the Pope. Actually, a little pun intended. They give him a little Renault this week. He says he's actually going to drive it.
Yes, right. A used Renault. It had like 180,000 miles on it.
84, even the year, I think, is.
Yeah.
But also, no papal apartment. I mean,
I know.
He's actually impressed me thoroughly because it does teach in the Bible all the different things, and one knows without sin. And he's come down to the common people. He's actually making a touch. And all society really would need is one rule, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I really think he is living up to that quote. I mean, really.
Yeah, the great Rabbi Hillel paraphrased that also, basically saying treat others the way you want people to treat you. That is the Torah. Everything else is just, commentary. But nonsense, basically. Cuts right down to it. I'm starting to like this guy. Dale is watching on Free Speech TV from Chatsworth, Georgia. Hey, Dale, what do you say?
Hey, Bill.
Hi.
It sounds like the Pope is speaking about Calvinism, predestination and election, which is taught in the Bible, especially in the book of Romans.
I don't think it's predestination, is it, so much? I mean, as
it's one of the points of it. Of Calvinism, not predestination so much, maybe.
But to me, it's more like free will. Follow your conscience, right? He's certainly not a strict Calvinist.
Well, right, and in Romans it talks about following the conscience. That the unsaved person following his conscience is following the edicts of God, knowing who God is.
All right, well, let me just say this, Dale. I think there's going to be a lot of commentary, a lot of pushback on the Pope from maybe some other Catholic officials. It's going to be interesting to watch. Maybe people stop going to church on Sunday.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, Friday the 13th. Don't be afraid of it. Just another good Friday around the Bill Press Show. Great to see you today. Coming to you live from our nation's capital and our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., just down the street from the United States Capitol building, which is empty again. The House and the Senate went home yesterday because, I mean, after all, they were back here 2 whole days. You know, you can't expect
That's a rough
these guys.
life,
I
man.
know. You can't expect them to work too hard. But at any rate, to the extent anything's going here, we're glad to have you with us, so we'll bring you up to date on the news of the day. I just want to, before we move on, we were just talking about what it all adds up to and what the Pope said. You don't have to believe in God to get to heaven. Just follow your conscience. We have, I want to be clear, the actual statement by Rabbi Hillel, which I love, and just want to quote it correctly. He said, "What is hateful to you," this is his, the way he expresses the golden rule, "what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow man. This is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary." That's just remember that one little phrase. That's all you need to know. Follow that. That's it. The rest is commentary. Pope basically said the same thing yesterday. And you got some comments, Peter?
Yeah, we're still tweeting at BP Show. Continue to join the conversation there at BP Show on Twitter, where NC Nomad says, the Pope knows organized/institutionalized religion is BS. And M. Zadi with so far the quote of the day.
Sure he knows.
Yeah.
BS.
It might have been
He's
a little
the
bit of a
head
stretch.
of one of them, but still, I mean, it does. What's the point of all the tra-la-la? What's the point of all the the vestments and the incense and the money and the pomp and the ceremony?
So far, the comment of the day on Twitter at BP Show goes to M. Zadi, who says, to paraphrase Groucho, I wouldn't want to belong to any heaven that wouldn't accept me as a member. You can join in the conversation at BP Show on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. There has been, here's something else we need to talk about. There has been certainly a lot of conversation about a big op-ed yesterday in the New York Times written by Vladimir Putin. Now, number one, when the head of Russia publishes an op-ed and is able to in the number one newspaper of this country, that in itself is remarkable. And then what Putin said is even more remarkable. It upset a lot of people yesterday, including me. Senator Bob Menendez led the pack, perhaps. He, of course, is chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he said it's just outrageous that this guy is preaching to us.
For someone who came to power by rising through the KGB, the security apparatus of what was the Soviet Union, which was ruthless in its time, to tell the United States of America what's in its national interest, what's in its national security interest, is pretty incredible.
Pretty incredible, pretty outrageous. And Senator Menendez said when he got it the night before it was published, and it came, it was got it on his on his iPhone. He wanted to throw up.
It made me nauseous, to be very honest with you, because I was reading it and I had to put it down. My first time reading it through, I was having dinner when it got forwarded to me, and I just turned knots in my stomach.
Yeah. So I mean, the stuff that you've probably heard a lot about it, and here it is: a plea for caution from Russia is the title of the op-ed piece. So he says so many things that are outrageous in this op-ed piece. First of all, and basically he's preaching to the United States. First of all, he says that how dare we not go through the United Nations for any action on Syria. The United Nations was set up at the end of World War II, he says, and we say we believe in it, and here we are threatening to bypass the United Nations. Well, you know why? Because Russia is blocking everything we've tried to do in the United Nations. They have blocked many, many times any condemnation of Syria for the civil war, any condemnation for its use of chemical weapons. They even blocked one press release, which the Security Council wanted to put out, say, we're thinking of maybe talking about something that Syria is doing which we may not agree with or something, and Russia blocked that. So, yeah, there's a reason why the UN is totally emasculated. It's the veto that Russia has used, not just on this issue, but over the last decades in the Security Council, number one. Two, he says, well, what we're doing, the United States is doing, Russia, we're supporting the Syrian government. What you people in the United States are doing are supporting Al-Qaeda and supporting terrorist groups. No, we're not. We're supporting the opposition in Syria to this ruthless dictator, Bashar al-Assad, who has killed 100,000 of his citizens. Yeah, we're supporting the opposition. We're supporting the moderates in the opposition. Some Al-Qaeda elements have come in because this thing has gone on for 2 years, the al-Nusra group. But we've identified them as a terrorist organization. You know, one of the reasons that we haven't just yet, I guess, one of the many reasons we haven't moved in with military force to try to depose Bashar al-Assad and force him out is because we're afraid that that al-Nusra group, the Al-Qaeda, could take over. So we are not there as the agents or the supporters of Al-Qaeda. No way, no how. Number three, listen to this. Putin says, no one doubts that poison gas was used in Syria, but there is every reason to believe it was used not by the Syrian army, but by opposition forces. That whole nonsense, which really nobody believes. There's not every reason to believe that. I mean, if every member of Congress that we've talked to, I haven't heard one Republican or one Democrat from Congress yet disagree that chemical weapons were used in Syria and that the evidence is overwhelming and conclusive and without a doubt that the orders were given, the preparation was given, the chemical weapons were launched by rockets from the Syrian army. Every single member has come in. Congressman John Yarmouth from Kentucky yesterday told us it is without a doubt, without a doubt, that the Syrian army are the ones who use those weapons. And then Putin goes on to say, well, we threaten the use of force. The use of force has always proven to be ineffective. This coming from Vladimir Putin?
Come on now.
I mean, think what they did to the Chechen rebels. They basically leveled it, right? Think of Russia in Afghanistan. Think of Russia across the board. Think of the violence even today in Russia to the political opposition. The KGB is alive and well in Russia today. They call it something else. They're still doing the same old crap, arresting opposition political leaders, not permitting the members of the LGBT community to live openly and be who they are in Russia. I mean, and for them to be preaching to us, right? Yeah, there are a lot of us who want to exhaust every possible diplomatic solution or economic solution as an alternative to military force. But, sometimes military force has proven to be necessary. Russia knows that more than anyone else. And then finally, Putin says, well, Mr. President, in your speech to the nation Tuesday night, President Obama, remember he said, we have to respond because that's who we are, because we are Americans. And he said, yeah, you guys don't have any right to be proud as Americans. This American exceptionalism, Putin says, is nonsense. He says it's extremely dangerous to encourage people to see themselves as exceptional. Well, I disagree. Look, I understand, and I've said this many times, we are a great country. There are also other great countries in the world. And we understand that you can love France. The residents of France can believe their country is exceptional with good reason. So can the residents of Great Britain or Germany or Italy or a lot of other countries. But so can we as Americans, and we have reason to be proud of ourselves. President Obama, again, himself has said, the reason that we are proud of our country is because we have a core set of values that are enshrined in our Constitution, in our body of law, in our democratic practices, in our belief in free speech and equality, that though imperfect, are exceptional. And let me say something else, a hell of a lot better than the opportunities for freedom that exist in Russia. So you know what, Vladimir Putin? Go to hell. Don't preach to us about democracy and values and freedom. All right, I'll be back with Susan Paige.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Boy, it has been one hell of a week with an amazing change of direction this week, particularly on the issue of Syria. Susan Paige is the Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today, our good friend joining us here on a Friday morning. Susan, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill.
So we started the week thinking, okay, is President Obama going to be able to get these votes to bomb Syria? And we end the week saying, now how well are we doing on the peace talks in Geneva? I mean, have you ever seen such a switcheroo here?
No,
huh?
and go back a week earlier when we thought the bombs were about to be unleashed,
right.
And we suddenly found ourselves with the White House seeking congressional okay. This has been a policy that's gone from here to there and back again.
No, it's going from like diplomacy to bombing to back to diplomacy again. And I think we saw yesterday, Susan, this is not going to be such an easy road, right, to a diplomatic solution.
Kind of predictable, don't you think, that Vladimir Putin wouldn't turn out to be the most reliable diplomatic partner, and that President Assad in Syria might not be somebody who will follow through on the indications that he might be willing to make a deal. Yeah, this might work, but if it does, it's not going to be easy.
No, they're going to drag their heels, every step of the way. And so, along the road, what did you think of being lectured to about democracy and freedom and American exceptionalism by Vladimir Putin yesterday on the pages of the New York Times?
Oh, wasn't that amazing? Obviously trying to diss President Obama in every way he could, and dissecting his speech and talking about the dangers of an attitude of American exceptionalism and all that. And what a reaction. I interviewed Senator Menendez yesterday, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, who said it made him want to throw up.
I was wondering what the reaction would have been. I think even stronger if that had happened under President George W. Bush's term. I bet there'd be hearings in Congress, calling the New York Times in there. How dare you print this, right?
No, the question is, does it hurt the administration or help it? Because when a foreign leader does something like that, it can cause a kind of rally around the flag effect too.
Yeah, I believe so. Now you've taken a look at public opinion on this Syria question. Where are the American people on this now?
The American people were not in favor of military action. I've got to assume that was a big factor in the president's decision on how he's proceeded. And I guess one question is, if diplomacy fails, will he be any more successful in marshaling support among the American public and in Congress for going back to a military option. I think it looks hard.
Oh, I do too. I do too. Even so, when was your poll taken? Was it taken after he'd already thrown it to Congress? And
yes, we took a poll from Wednesday through Sunday.
Oh.
And so it was right in that period after he had decided to go to Congress, before we had the diplomatic initiative, and it just showed huge resistance by almost 2-1 to the idea of military strikes against Syria.
Did the speech change anything? How did you rate the speech? Or analyze the speech?
I thought that it was not the speech he had planned to give, right? Because the speech he had planned to give was one that made the case for military action.
Yep.
I think it's hard to try to make 2 points that are in some ways in conflict. One is, here's why we have to be willing to take military action, and secondly, here's why I'm not doing it now, because we've got a diplomatic option. I think that's a tough task. It makes a speech less effective. What did you think?
No, same thing. But he had to. That's the speech that he had to give. For one thing, I tell you, is I thought it was the right length. Presidential speeches to me sometimes go on and on and on. Right. This was 17 minutes, and he had to make the case. Right. Here's why I've decided we ought to strike Syria militarily. Right. But here's why I went to Congress, and here's why I've asked Congress now not to act until we pursue this diplomatic thing. It was tough to do all three, but he had to do all three.
Well, having gone down that first, he had to do. Here's the thing: the series of dilemmas he's faced, all of his own making. He says red line a year ago on chemical weapons. That sets up a need to say we need to take military action now. After Syria crosses that red line, then he decides to go for congressional. I mean, it's one thing after another. This is why I think a lot of modern presidents have chosen just you have a situation where you want to take limited military action, you just take it. Mm-hmm. And if he had done that 2 weeks ago, when we thought he was going to do, would we just be talking about something else now? I think that's possible.
Totally. I totally agree. You know what? And there would have been a lot of reaction, maybe a lot of complaints, right? But for a day,
Yeah.
Which does raise the question I wanted to ask you. So, where do we go from here? 2 things. How long do we let this Syria, do you believe, peace initiative kind of play out? And then is President Obama soon going to forget about that and just dealing with the budget crisis all over again?
Right. Well, Bill, not just President Obama, but all of us. How long is our attention span? Modern history would say it lasts about 140 characters.
You know what? That's what we've gotten to, hasn't it? That's really, that's exactly what it is today. Yeah. That's where we are, right? So I'll bet you a week from now, people won't be talking about Syria.
Well, a week from now, we'll probably be on the verge of a government shutdown, and we'll be talking about that.
Yeah. So the Republicans, one more time, want to, not so much now, it's not so much repeal Obamacare, right, but defund it or delay it, right?
That's right.
Sort of the new tactic.
Yeah.
Is it going to go anywhere?
Well, we know it's not going to be repealed, and we know it's not going to be defunded because of the dynamics of the Congress and the fact that we've got a president for whom this is a signature achievement. But man, it's having a rough ride going into enforcement. It's just a couple weeks away, October 1st, when we're going to have those exchanges open, and the administration continues to face a situation where 3 years after the law was signed, most Americans don't support it. And what's more, most Americans don't understand it and how it's going to work and affect them. Yeah.
You talk about it, that the president had a challenge with his selling job on Syria on the speech last Tuesday, right? He's also got the administration, a big sales job, still with Obamacare. Susan Paige, into the weekend we go, Friday the 13th. Don't let us scare you, Susan.
Okay, Bill, thanks.
It's just a regular day for us, right?
That's right.
Thank you for starting out with us, though. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Susan. Susan Paige. That's a great job. USA Today, usatoday.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, in the next hour, we're going to be talking about the Redskins, and whether it's not time to change that name. Meanwhile, boy, I don't know, what does God have against Seaside Heights, New Jersey, one of those towns that was battered by Hurricane Sandy, and yesterday, horrific fire on the boardwalk destroyed. They rebuilt the boardwalk, and 80% of it destroyed by fire yesterday. Governor Chris Christie on the scene.
You know, as soon as this is over, we'll pick ourselves up, we'll dust ourselves off, and we'll get back to work.
Just such a tragedy. Fire started in an ice cream custard shop or something like that about 2:30 yesterday afternoon. And you know, as any boardwalk that I know, the construction along this boardwalk, it's just flimsy wooden shacks. You know, basically. A lot of tourist trap kind of stuff, and but fun. I'm not knocking it, and just totally 80% wiped out yesterday. So sad, so sad. But people in New Jersey will come bouncing back, and so will we for another 2 hours.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Great to see you this morning. Although, watch out, it is Friday, September 13. Oh, my God. Anyhow, hey, it doesn't matter to us. We're still here. We still got lots to talk about. We got a show to do, and we welcome you to the Bill Press Show this Friday morning, coming to you live from our nation's capital with the news of what's going on here in Washington, D.C., what's going on around the country and around the globe. And then we will open up the phones and the social media sites and get your comments. The toll-free number to call is 866-55-PRESS. Your comments welcome on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. So much to talk about, so little time. We are headed down the path toward peace in Syria. Talks began in Geneva yesterday, but it's clear already this is not going to be an easy path. President Assad says, I'll sign the Chemical Weapons Convention, but it's going to take about a month or so before I'm able to release any chemical weapons. And meanwhile, you guys have to stop threatening to bomb me. John Kerry says, grow up, get serious. We don't have that much time to wait. This is not a game. Meanwhile, at the Vatican, two big shocking bits of news. The new Secretary of State for the Vatican says, celibacy, maybe it's time to rethink celibacy as a requirement for Catholic priests. And the Pope himself said, do you have to believe in God to get to heaven? No way, he says. That's not necessary. All you have to do is follow your conscience. Both of those things in direct contradiction to former Pope Benedict XVI, who must be going crazy living inside those Vatican walls. All of that and more. Lots coming up here this Friday on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty,
my power,
my life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Happy Friday morning. And welcome to The Bill Press Show. John Boehner says we still want to defund Obamacare, and Harry Reid says you're wasting your time. It ain't going to happen, buddy. With that, we start off here on the Bill Press Show, bringing you up to date on all the news of the day, not only from our nation's capital, but around the country and around the globe. You'll be pleased to know that the members of Congress who rushed back into town Monday night for the big debate over Syria found out they didn't have to vote on Syria after all. So they went home yesterday at 11 o'clock, having accomplished absolutely nothing this week other than in the House of Representatives. They did take a procedural vote about whether or not they will vote to try to defund or repeal or delay Obamacare. Yet again, I think we're now up to 45 or 46 times.
That's this month alone.
Yeah. I mean, just a total joke at any rate. We'll tell you what's going on, and we want to hear from you about what you think about it all. No matter what issue we are talking about or not talking about, give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Join us on Twitter at BP Show. We love getting your comments on Twitter. Peter Ogburn watching the Twitter all the time with your tweets to bring them to us on the air.
Yes, indeed.
And then on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. Peter Ogburn here, leading the team this morning. Dan Henning's got the morning off. Hello, Peter.
Happy Friday.
Nice that you're here. Thank you. With Alicia Cruz. She'll be there to take your calls. And Cyprian Bolding is here to keep us coming out to you, not just on the radio, which we are primarily your morning talk show on your local progressive talk radio station, but a radio show carried on Free Speech TV. So proud to be the newest member of the great Free Speech TV's lineup. And you can find us there if you've got a satellite dish at DirecTV or the Dish Network. And also, if you really want to see the show, not just listen to the show, pull out your computer, your iPhone, your iPad, or whatever, and go to TawkrTV, sorry. YouTube.com/Tawker, spelled TAWKR TV. Tawker TV. All right, Peter, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey,
I'm excited, man.
I know, because the big game is coming up this weekend.
Huge game.
Alabama, Crimson Tide taking on Texas A&M. Nick Saban, your coach, yesterday, not happy because he has a little news conference, meeting with reporters to talk about this weekend's game. And all they want to talk about is DJ Fluker, who, of course, is still accused of taking some improper payments as a student.
Allegedly.
Yes, right. Nick Saban says, basically, enough is enough is enough.
Just the timing of all this stuff coming out, how does that affect you personally and also the team?
I've already answered it 3 times. So who else wants it? Can we get in a line and everybody ask the question?
Yeah.
That's the way it is at the White House briefings, too. No, it is. And you know what? Jay Carney ought to answer it like that. I mean, seriously, because particularly in the front row, you've heard me complain about this before, all the network anchors feel they have to ask the same question so they can get their question on camera so they can look good on their network that night. And the same question is asked over and over and over again. Those of us in the back of the room, hiss, boo, move on, move on. What Jay Carney ought to just say, instead of answering it and filibustering, which he does over and over again, he ought to just say what Nick did. Anybody else want to ask the same question? Get in line.
He just walked out.
I already answered that question.
He just walked right out.
He finally just walked out.
Yeah, he wasn't going to waste any more time on it.
All right, reporters from Politico and Huffington Post joining us both. Peter Fenn, Democratic strategist and good friend, will be here as a friend of Bill for the next hour. And is it time, finally, to change the name Redskins? But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
A couple of other stories making news out there. Fox News viewers will have a little less Shep in their life soon. One host that viewers from all sides of politics seem to enjoy is Shepard Smith. He's been seen at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. for quite some time on Fox News, but as part of a larger network shakeup, they're taking him back to just 3 o'clock and making him managing editor overseeing the network's new breaking news division. We already know that Fox plans on putting Megyn Kelly into primetime when she returns from maternity leave. So will this all work out, the whole rebranding of Fox News? We will just have to wait and see.
I think Shep is one of the best people at Fox News.
I agree.
I've always liked him. He's a damn good anchor and reporter.
Yeah, absolutely. The very definition of an inside job. 2 California McDonald's were robbed at gunpoint earlier this week, and the perp is someone very familiar with them. In fact, he was the manager of one of the stores. Felix Gonzalez Becerra allegedly walked into one of the stores he managed, took out a small caliber handgun, robbed the store of the money, and days later walked into a different McD's and made off with even more cash. Luckily, police have apprehended this hamburglar, and we can only hope that Mayor McCheese throws the book at him.
Who was it said, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is.
That's where the money is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And from the sports desk, last night was Thursday night football. The hapless New York Jets took on the New England Patriots, and while the Patriots dominated the first half, the second half was a sloppy event that left the Jets with an opening to win the game. Down 13-10 with about 40 seconds left, Jets rookie quarterback Geno Smith threw a pass that was intercepted and ended any comeback chances. Tempers, though, were on high alert all throughout the game.
Up in a free-for-all, right?
A full-blown brawl out on the field. It ended the game on a sour note. The Patriots improved to 2-0 on the season.
How'd they break up the game or the fight? I mean, it just.
I think when you're dealing with guys that big that are fully padded, I think you just let them wear themselves out,
beat each other up.
Yeah, you don't want to get in the middle of that.
All right, so the Patriots won the game.
Yes, they did.
Who won the fight?
That's the important question.
Yeah, right. Yes, indeed. Speaking about NFL, boy, there is now growing pressure on the owner of the Redskins, Dan Snyder, to change the name of the team, Redskins, to a less offensive and a non-racist term, let's say. Now, this talk has been going on for a long time, right? And Dan Snyder has said, no way, no how. In fact, he said most recently, never. He said, you can use that and you can put it, just in May, he told USA Today, you can put that in caps. When am I going to change the name? Never. And around Washington, but this is not just a Washington, D.C. Question. There are a lot of words you can think of, racist terms that you would never use for the name of a football team. And the Redskins certainly is one of those, maybe the only one that's still left. And a lot of people have been saying for a long time, come on, just recognize this as an offensive racist term. The way the Washington Post put it, which I think is the best way to look at it. They asked Snyder, and this is years ago, Would you sit down with a group of Native Americans in a room, look them in the eye, and call them Redskins? No way.
There's no way.
No way, because you know it's offensive. Well, then you shouldn't have that name on the team. Well, here's where it picked up steam this week a little bit. Now, this is, by the way, this is changing. You know, it's sort of like from Syria, we went from we're going to bomb them to now we're going to talk to them and they're going to agree to surrender their their chemical weapons, supposedly. Okay, this is a radical change in the way this story has changed in the last couple of weeks. 3 months ago, Roger Goodell, who's the NFL commissioner, said this. The Washington Redskins name has thus, from its origin, represented a positive meaning, distinct from any disparagement that could be viewed in some other context. He wrote that as recently as last month.
Wow.
Well, I'm sorry, June 5. Okay, beginning of the summer. Yesterday, in an interview here in Washington, D.C. on 106.7 The Fan, on the LeVar and Duke show, Roger Goodell says, you know what? If this is offending some people, we better take a look at it.
I think what we have to do, though, is we have to listen. If one person is offended, we have to listen. And ultimately, it is Dan's decision, but it's something that I want all of us to go out and make sure we're listening to our fans, listening to people who have a different view, and making sure that we continue to do what's right to make sure that team represents the strong tradition and history that it has for so many years.
Even if it offends one person, he says, we've got to take a look at it. Boy, what a change in his position in the last couple of months. And more fuel to the fire this week when earlier this week, two of the best and the most well-known sports writers, Peter King from Sports Illustrated and Christine Brennan from USA Today, both said they will no longer refer to the team as the Redskins. Even if Dan Snyder doesn't change the name, they will not call the team by the name Redskins in their columns and in their sports writing. So that, you know, the pressure is really on, and I think. And
I think you're going to see more of that. I mean, because it started with some local publications. The Washington City paper said they wouldn't write the name. Christine Brennan and Peter King together are two of the highest profile sports writers out there.
Yeah. And the Post points out this morning, calling again for Dan Snyder to change the name, long overdue. It points out that there will be a cost estimated by some to be as high as $20 million, but surely the owner of the NFL's third most valuable franchise can afford it. I mean, $20 million sounds like a lot of money, and it is to most people. To Dan Snyder, it's not a lot of money. So the question is, what do you think? 866-55-PRESS. Is it time to change the name Redskins, or it doesn't offend you? It's been around for a long time. Most people just think of it as a football team. So what? And the other question is, some people are saying that if they change the name, the fans will no longer support the team, which I think is just caca. I mean, you know, they'll support the team based on whether or not they like football and the team is winning.
And here in Washington, we support the team even when they're losing.
Yeah.
Even when they have terrible records, they're still one of the most profitable teams in football.
And I think it's worth pointing out that we did have a NBA team called the Bullets, right? Maybe 5-6 years ago.
A while back, yeah.
Right. They changed the name from the Bullets to the Wizards. People still go to the games.
Well... But I don't think it has to do.
They don't go because they're not called the Bullets.
Exactly. Right? And I also think that was a little bit of an overreaction PC-wise. I think that I'll at least listen to the argument, because one of the arguments is, well, you've got the Indians, the Cleveland Indians. You've got the Atlanta Braves.
You got the Braves.
And I'll at least hear the argument that this is in some way
those are not
celebrating the heritage of Native Americans. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it, but at least hear it. But the term Redskin
is a racist term.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. You are drawing attention and making like a slang term about the color of someone's skin.
Right.
And you can't do that.
So I mean, just focus on getting the best players for the team and getting the best record, and change the damn name. They made too big a deal about this, if you ask me. Time to change it. No longer calling that team the Redskins. Soon, let's hope. 866-55-PRESS. Tell us what you think here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing done. I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
How long can Dan Snyder resist changing the name of the Washington's NFL team? Pressure growing after Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, said if that term name, Redskins, offends even one person, let alone a whole mess of fans across the country, then we ought to take a serious look at it, putting the pressure on Dan Snyder. What do you say, Peter? You got a couple of comments there?
Yes, indeed. We're tweeting at BP Show, at BP Show. You can find us there. Cy Guy says the way to force the team to change their name is to use a euphemism that clearly communicates current name is offensive, using R words to sort of shame them into it. Phil says a local sports writer once suggested that you keep the name Redskins, but change the mascot to a red-skinned potato. Which I don't know if that's going to work either.
I don't think, yeah.
We're on Twitter at BP Show.
Might have worked that one time. I don't think anybody would.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work.
I don't think anybody would fall for that. What do you think, Peter? They should or should not?
I think they should change the name. Yeah, you know what struck me? Because I grew up, one of my best friends, his dad was a big Washington football fan when we were kids. We used to watch it all the time. And so if I pulled for a team, I would pull for that team. And then as an adult now, I turned on the game the other week, and the announcer loudly came on and said, it's the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington Redskins. And it really struck me as like, man, that sounds so out of date now. It really sounds out of date. And so, why not? Why not change it?
All right, let's jump up to Boston. Leslie, good morning.
Good morning. I have the answer to this.
All right.
And I've been trying to get someone to listen to this for some time. I was born in D.C. I grew up there. My mother loved that team. And even when I was growing up, everybody just called them the Skins. Why don't they just change the name to the Skins? And they could change the logo to some kind of abstract profile of lots of different colors of skin if they want that. But everybody has been calling that team the Skins for decades, and I think that's a good way to change the name.
It may not be far enough from the name Redskins to satisfy people, but
one of the ideas that our friend Clinton Yates
might not work in the song.
I don't think it would work on the Well, what Clinton Yates, from the Washington Post, our friend, one of his ideas that he brought up is to call them the Pigskins. You get the pigskin football.
Yeah.
It still fits. It's the 2-syllable deal there. I don't know if it'll work with the whole fight song, Braves on the Warpath. Swines on the warpath, pigskins. I don't know. That's a quantum leap.
Well, all right, Leslie. But I think what the call shows. There are lots of possibilities, right?
Oh yeah.
There are lots of possibilities. Dan is out in Chicago. What do you say, Dan?
Hey, Bill. I just wanted to kind of give a little insight. I think that we as white America really don't have a say in this, considering we're the instigators in regards to using the word. And if there was some sort of Middle Eastern owner who had a team called the Infidels, we as Americans would have a huge issue with that. On top of the fact that maybe if the Redskins had a winning record, they might have a dog in this fight in regards to changing their name.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
Yeah, I kind of did.
This is our year, man.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. No, but no, I think he makes a good point. I think it's very hard to defend this. And the only defense that I could see Dan Snyder coming up with, it's not just, well, we've always called them the Redskins, therefore we have to continue. I mean, that's a bogus argument, right?
And that's really the only one that they use.
That's the one that they use. I think that is so bogus. Or the fact that the public will not support the team, that's BS as well. The only one that has some legitimacy is going to cost some money. But you know what? It does cost money to do the right thing. And again, they can freaking afford it, right? The Redskins. So let's hope that Roger Goodell has turned the tide on this. We're going to have Byron Tau from Politico will be joining us, and we'll get back to still the number one issue of the day is
this
Syria.
Is
coming
the
up.
Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 33 minutes after the hour now, coming to you live all across this great land of ours, coast to coast, on your local progressive talk radio station, on Free Speech TV, and online at TawkrTV. That's youtube.com/Tawkr, Tawkr TV. Want to switch here to the big issue of the day. But first, just a footnote on the Redskins, Peter, that we've been talking about. Yeah. Just got a note from a friend of mine who says that his high school football team was named Redskins, and they changed the name to Red Hawks.
Oh, there you go.
So, I mean,
that could work.
It is possible, right? There are other possibilities.
And in this town with all the hawks here, it would absolutely work, right? Instead of red hawks, go war hawks.
Let's put it this way: some people are hawks in season. Speaking about Syria, we've seen some people who are hawks on Iraq, where there were no weapons of mass destruction, who become doves on Syria, where there are weapons of mass destruction. Byron Tau is a reporter for Politico who's been covering the Syria situation and this issue as it's developed and twisted and turned the last couple of weeks. Hey, Byron, nice to see you.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thanks for coming in. So we started out this week thinking Congress is going to have to wrestle with this decision and vote up or down, right, on a military strike. We end the week with John Kerry in Geneva trying to figure out a diplomatic solution. What did we learn yesterday in Geneva?
Well, not too much. We saw Kerry appear with his counterpart in Russia, the Russian foreign minister, on the sidelines of a big UN meeting. And they largely stuck to their talking points that they're working towards a workable agreement, that this is something the international community has to deal with. But, how close we are to an agreement and what the details of that agreement might look like, that seems pretty far off right now.
At the same time, Bashar al-Assad told Russian TV network that, yes, we are ready to sign the Chemical Weapons Convention, which they refused to sign for decades. But the United States has to stop making military threats against us, and we won't be able to really round up any of our chemical weapons for at least a month, to which John Kerry had this to say.
This is not a game, and I said that to my friend Sergei when we talked about it initially. It has to be real. It has to be comprehensive.
So don't you think it's pretty clear that Assad's going to try to drag his heels as long as he can, right?
I think that's the main fear among U.S. policymakers, that, it will be incredibly difficult to get into this country, which is in the middle of a civil war, where, the situation is incredibly volatile and unstable. The territory is not necessarily, it's shifting hands all the time. So I think there is a real concern that, whatever agreement comes out of this, and if there is an agreement, it will be incredibly hard to implement. We saw this in other countries with weapons of mass destruction and weapons inspectors. Iraq was a big problem. North Korea was a big problem. And, it could be a big problem in Syria, too.
Right. So, meanwhile, at the United Nations, the first thing that has to happen is the United Nations, not the first, he can certainly sign the Chemical Weapons Convention, but in terms of the United Nations getting involved, they're going to have to get a resolution through the Security Council. And is that going to be, will Russia go along? Is that going to happen? I mean...
Well, with bilateral engagement with Russia right now, if we have their buy-in on a larger agreement, it probably means that we have their agreement in the Security Council. Mm-hmm. The wild card is China. China has a veto also. They're one of the permanent members. And, we haven't heard a whole lot from them. And in general, they've kind of taken the Russian line on this, that they're skeptical of U.S. military interventions, that they're skeptical of interfering sort of in the sovereign borders of other countries. So that will be an interesting dynamic to watch, how Beijing sort of responds to all this when something does come out of these talks.
Interesting point, because nobody's talking much about China. They have sort of been on the sidelines and silent, but you certainly can't take them for granted.
Certainly not.
The sticky point seems to be the use of military force. France has said if we're going to have this resolution and Syria is going to have to agree to this, there has to be a hammer that if they don't, here's what's going on. There's the threat this time of a UN-sponsored military strike, right?
And I think that would have...
Is that a necessary element, do you believe?
Well, obviously the Syrians don't want that as a part of any resolution. And that's why, you heard the Syrian government say, well, part of the deal is, the threat of military action has to come off the table. On the other hand, I think that would play much better in European capitals across the world, that there is now international pressure. There's a Security Council resolution. This is something we can act in concert on, in that Syria is violating a very specific international agreement. So I do think that will ultimately be a part of it. There will need to be a stick as well as a carrot. And, it remains to be seen what that will look like, but I think it'll be a part of a final negotiation.
So from our perspective, the United States perspective, how long can we give this process to play out? Is there any urgency that, if it's not done in 6 months, then Assad will just have won the day, basically, and we've wasted our time? Or is it a month? Is it 2 months, 6 months, a year?
I think there is a sense of urgency on the part of U.S. policymakers, again, because of the fear that this negotiation, both with the Russians and a larger diplomatic effort at the United Nations, is simply a stalling tactic to give the Assad regime sort of the upper hand in their civil war, to give them more legitimacy at home. So I do think there's some level of urgency that this needs, this is something that will be in the headlines for a while until we hammer out some kind of tentative agreement or, come to some conclusion about what we're going to do about this situation.
Yeah, well, that gets to then the next question is what impact and what connection does this have on the Civil War? I mean, let's say with all of the difficulties, we get a resolution through the UN. They do sign the CWC. The weapons are wound up. So at the end of the day, if the Civil War is still going on, is Assad weaker or stronger?
Well, from the point of view of the Syrian rebels, they were so close to a military intervention that could potentially cripple their opponents. They've been working, the U.S. Congress, they've been working the U.S. public on this for at least 2 years. There are two main groups here in Washington, D.C. that represent them and their interests. There is an official office here where they have an ambassador, or representative at least. And they were on the brink of basically U.S. military strike against their main foe in the Civil War, and now we've really backed away from it. So it's kind of a defeat for them.
But they may have been on the brink of getting a military strike, which might have helped them. But they were also in losing ground in the Civil War.
Sure. Right. Assad's forces, have really roared back in some respects that, there's a stalemate, if not an outright retreat on some of their parts. So they're not in the best situation either. And, from their point of view, a U.S. military strike might have been one of the best things that could happen to them. It could really have turned the tide of the Civil War. And now it doesn't necessarily look like that's going to be the case.
So that Assad could be the ultimate winner here, do you think?
Anything could happen, but he certainly doesn't. It doesn't look like. It doesn't look good for the opposition at this point. Essentially,
right. Let's join the conversation. It is Mike. Mike is calling from out in WCPT in Chicago. Hello, Mike. Good morning. What do you think?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I just have a quick question about the chemical gases and these weapons. Are these weapons from Russia, or could these be the weapons that were not found in Iraq?
That's a good question. I don't think they're the non-existent WMD from Iraq. Mike, thanks for the question. Byron, what do you know about that?
I think that Syria is a major producer of chemical weapons, that they do some of this in-country. What they've purchased. They've probably purchased from Russia, who's been their closest ally and big military procurement supplier. So I really do doubt that they're the missing Saddam weapons, but anything's possible.
But, on that point, Syria would not, the government, the Syrian regime, would not be where it is today without the military weaponry supplied by Russia, right?
Right, and Russia actually has a geopolitical interest in the region. I believe it has a naval station in the country, one of the very few remaining sort of Cold War outposts. It's a Cold War alliance, and it's one that's of some importance to the Russian government. Just even in just a prestige way, that this is one of their oldest military alliances. This is one of their allies in the region.
Yeah.
And, they sell them weapons and they do military cooperation.
So we're in this sort of interim period here where we've taken time out from the move toward a military strike to pursue this possible diplomatic solution. And we've been talking about, okay, how does that play out and what would happen if we get to the end of the process? I want to take just one final question for you because I know you have to go. The opposite approach. What if it all falls apart? Does President Obama go back to Congress or does he do a military strike without Congress?
Well, it would be hard for him to back away from the situation, right? I mean, they've raised the bar pretty high. The president gave a primetime address to the American people. He did 6 network interviews. His Secretary of State has been out there very publicly saying that this is a huge problem for the world and the international community and that there needs to be some kind of retaliation, whether that's a diplomatic solution to get chemical weapons out of the country or a military strike against the Assad regime to, to cripple the country and to cripple their war-making abilities. So I think it'll be very hard for them if they don't get an agreement through this process to say, oh, well, that's it.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on them from the media, from the public, from members of Congress who are more hawkish on this to do something, because they went pretty far down this path.
Then the question will be whether he goes to Congress or not for that military strike. My guess is he would not, because I don't think he'd be sure getting the votes. But Byron, good job at Politico. Thank you for coming in this morning. It's Politico, of course, Politico.com. We'll see you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
Eye cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, we got it covered here on the Bill Press Show. 12 minutes before the top of the hour on a Friday. September 13, what is that word? Triskaidekaphobia?
Triskaidekaphobia, you got it.
Hope you don't have any. We don't have any. We just barge ahead. Friday the 13th or not. Speaking of Friday, every Friday we like to just take a little time out, look back at some of our favorite sound bites of the week. We call them clips of the week. We start at the bottom, work our way to the top. We lost this week a very colorful showman, businessman, hugely successful in Southern California. I lived there for so long and consider myself still a Californian. And everybody there knew Cal Worthington with his, I know, it was kind of, corny, cheesy, right? Everything. But he sold a lot of cars this way.
Number 5.
Here's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot.
If you're a little short of cash, go see Cal. Trouble's over in a flash, go see Cal.
The down payment he'll arrange. Get a 10-day trial exchange. Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal.
Oh, go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal. Millions of people did. Yes, indeed. The NBA Hall of Fame welcoming Gary Payton this week.
Number 4.
I don't regret the way I went about it, and I am a strong man today as a result. But I can't help but think I could have given more to the game that gave so much to me. My career is complete. Gary Payton is evolving, but GP is in the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Yeah, Probably famous for speaking of himself in the third person.
Gary Payton is evolving.
Gary Payton is evolving. Yes, indeed. Big game this week between Alabama, Crimson Tide, and Texas A&M. And Nick Saban, the coach, wants to talk about that instead of he's tired of getting questions about DJ Fluker.
Number 3.
Just the timing of all this stuff coming out, how does that affect you personally and also the team?
I've already answered it 3 times. So who else wants it? Can we get in a line and everybody ask the question?
Yeah, and somebody else did ask the question, and he got up and walked out of that news conference. He had enough. The night before the primary up in New York last Monday night, Lawrence O'Donnell books Anthony Weiner. Why? Who knows? But it throws him this question, which Anthony Weiner is not happy with.
Number 2.
Just one basic question for you that I think a lot of people have wondered about for different reasons over the course of the campaign. For me, it just comes down to this, which is, what is wrong with you?
I don't understand the question. What is wrong with me that I care so much about the issues that I fight for every day, that I have my entire career?
No.
Not exactly.
What I mean is this. What is wrong with you that you cannot seem to imagine a life without elective office?
That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. You could ask that question of any politician, of course. And the whole direction of this week changed on Syria because of one flippant, offhand remark that John Kerry made in response to a reporter's question in London.
Number 1.
He could turn over every single bit of his chemical weapons to the international community in the next week. Turn it over, all of it, without delay, and allow a full and total accounting for that. But he isn't about to do it, and it can't be done, obviously.
There it is, the shot heard around the world.
Diplomacy!
By the end of the day, President Obama was saying, this is a serious proposal. We ought to take it seriously, and we will suspend any vote in Congress until we get there. By the way, another little bit of news, great news out of California. The minimum wage in California is $8 an hour, which is a lot better than the national minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. And the state Senate yesterday voted to increase the minimum wage in California from $8 to $10 an hour with the full support of Governor Jerry Brown. He says he will sign that legislation. Remember, President Obama just wants to raise the minimum wage to $9.25. I think it is around that. But California already way ahead, going up to $10. Even $10 isn't enough, but it's going in the right direction. We'll come back to tell you what the president's up to today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
All right, here we go with our program reminder about the third hour. We will not be carried live on Free Speech TV, but you can continue to watch us live, listen to us live, of course, on your local Progressive Talk radio station, and watch us live online at youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV. Join us there with Peter Fenn, Democratic strategist, coming in as a friend of Bill. We'll also be joined by Jen Bendery from the Huffington Post, and keep the conversation going with all of you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, here we go. President Obama mainly staying close to the White House today. Maybe a couple of unannounced things, but for the time being, on his schedule, he and the Vice President get their daily briefing this morning in the Oval Office at 10:45. And then at 1:15 this afternoon, the President will be holding a bilateral meeting with the Emir of Kuwait. The Vice President will also attend that. And then a very, very important meeting at about 3:30 this afternoon. The President is scheduled to meet in the Roosevelt Room, just across from the hall from the Oval Office, with several important labor leaders, presidents of some of the major labor unions in this country, to talk about the union's problems with Obamacare and the way Obamacare is now configured, which they say, without amendment, will put them out of business in terms of providing health care to their union members. That is going to be a very critical meeting this afternoon. No time yet set for the press briefing, but Jay Carney says he'll let us know a little bit later. Peter Fenn joins us as a friend of Bill for the next hour.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Great to see you this morning. Although, watch out, it is Friday, September 13. Oh, my God. Anyhow, hey, it doesn't matter to us. We're still here. We still got lots to talk about. We got a show to do, and we welcome you to the Bill Press Show this Friday morning, coming to you live from our nation's capital with the news of what's going on here in Washington, D.C., what's going on around the country and around the globe. And then we will open up the phones and the social media sites and get your comments. The toll-free number to call is 866-55-PRESS. Your comments welcome on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. So much to talk about, so little time. We are headed down the path toward peace in Syria. Talks began in Geneva yesterday, but it's clear already this is not going to be an easy path. President Assad says, yeah, I'll sign the Chemical Weapons Convention, but it's going to take about a month or so before I'm able to release any chemical weapons. And meanwhile, you guys have to stop threatening to bomb me. John Kerry says, grow up, get serious. We don't have that much time to wait. This is not a game. Meanwhile, at the Vatican, two big shocking bits of news. The new Secretary of State for the Vatican says, celibacy, maybe it's time to rethink celibacy as a requirement for Catholic priests. And the Pope himself said, do you have to believe in God to get to heaven? No way, he says. That's not necessary. All you have to do is follow your conscience. Both of those things in direct contradiction to former Pope Benedict XVI, who must be going crazy living inside those Vatican walls. All of that and more. Lots coming up here this Friday on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
my beauty,
my power,
my life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The river red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
California says $8 is not enough for a minimum wage. We're going to raise it to $10 an hour. Good for California. Showing the way again on another big issue. Hello, everybody. It is Friday, September 13. This is the Bill Press Show, and we're coming to you live all the way across this great land of ours on your local progressive talk radio station, coast to coast. Thanks for being with us this morning. And those of you who prefer to watch us online, of course, you can do so on TawkrTV. Just go to youtube.com/Tawker. And everybody knows how to spell Tawker. TAWKR. TawkrTV. Joining us here for our third hour together this morning, a good friend. It's been a while since he's been in. Democratic strategist Peter Fenn. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Bill.
How you
doing?
doing?
Great to be back. A lot of summer vacations and weddings for me, so I've been missing you.
Well, good for you. Yeah, two children getting married this year, right? A son and a daughter, both.
Absolutely, it was great.
Get them done all at once, right?
Well, that's right. Now I have to go work harder to pay for it.
Yeah, right. Do they have they have student loans? Do they have?
Actually, my daughter has graduate student loans, so I can't hit her up for it.
Oh, you got to do it yourself, yeah. And you joined the team, almost the entire team this morning. Dan Henney's got the morning off. Peter is here.
Hey.
Running the board and otherwise keeping things on track. Alicia Cruz has the phones covered. And Cyprian Bolding, of course, has us looking good on that video cam. Cyprian Bolding, our videographer. So, Peter, there's a guy, we wanted you to know, there's a guy yesterday, this story. So he's late for work. He's driving because, they have all that rain out in Colorado. There's horrific floods. We saw that extraordinary video yesterday. So he's driving into work, but it's raining, and he just calls his boss to let him know he's going to be a little late. And then he noticed there's a little accident right in front of him. Here's the call.
Hey, Mark, excuse me. I'm on my way to 3768. Kind of got hung up. It's raining out here. I'm on my way into Dallas. Jerry's probably going to be calling you to find out where I'm at if he can't get a hold of me, I'm sure. So thought, whoa. Man, I just had a wreck right in front of me.
A wreck right in front of him. So what happens is a guy apparently rear ends or runs into a car with three old ladies in it, right? So he walks up to the car, and maybe just to say, is everybody okay? We're okay here. Maybe he gets the reception that he wasn't expecting. Here we go.
Oh, hold on. He's going over to their window. She's rolling down the window. Oh, man, I think she sprayed him with pepper spray, man. He's on his face and he's on his knee. She's beating him with an umbrella. The other women are getting out, too. There's one woman with a little black purse and she's tomahawking him, man. She looks like a Sunbelt 20 horsepower jackhammer.
So the one with the driver hits him with pepper spray. The other woman gets out of the car with a little black purse, and she's, what's that phrase he used?
Tomahawking her.
Tomahawking him. Tomahawking him.
It sounds like Bonnie and Clyde to me. I love these women.
All right, so you got the woman with the pepper spray and the woman and the umbrella, the woman with a little black purse. Then the third one gets out with a big bag and starts beating on him.
They're still hitting him. The one with the little black purse is still all pieces of it.
This guy is going nuts.
Okay, he's up on the car. The little woman just beating him again with that big bag.
goose woman.
She's talking to him as he's driving off. I wish you would have been here, man.
I wish you would have been here.
This is too good.
I'm glad we're all there. Thanks to him. So he runs behind.
How great is that?
Can't you see him? He's like running to his car, and he gets in his car and he drives up, and they're still screaming at him.
He's under attack from three little old ladies. The mother goose woman, he calls one of them.
The mother goose woman, the 80-year-old road rage.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. That is, I'd love to have the video.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Too bad he didn't have his phone going with the video.
I don't know. We don't even know his
name. The description's so good.
Whoever he is, thank you for being there. The description of that. All right, so Peter here.
What a way to start off the Friday, huh?
Yeah, really.
Peter is here as a friend of Bill. We're going to be joined by Jen Bendery from Huffington Post. Whoa, what am I saying? A little bit later in the hour. But first...
This
Stop
is
that,
the
Peter.
Full Court Press.
I shall do my best. Let's see what else is going on this Friday. Here in Washington, D.C., peace was given a chance, and peace up and left. Unbeknownst to many residents in the District of Columbia, there has been a peace protest near the White House that had been running for 32 years uninterrupted. Connie Picciotto, a 77-year young woman, has led the protest over the course of those years from a makeshift camp near Lafayette Square. And sadly, in the overnight hours of Thursday morning, the lone protester left the protest site and the park police dismantled the camp according to rules about structures that are not being manned. And with that, the protest was over. The good news is that when Picciotto heard about the cancellation, she promptly set up a new camp and began a new protest in the same spot. So here's to the next 32 years of protest.
That woman has been there, 32 years, but every time I go to the White House, and yesterday when I would go down there for the briefing, I didn't see it, and I thought, what the hell's going on? What happened? And then I hear this story.
She'll be back.
Yeah, she is back.
Going where no space junk has ever gone before, NASA confirmed something that they had never confirmed. A man-made object has left the solar system and entered interstellar space for the very first time. NASA's Voyager was launched in 1977, complete with the technology of its day, and has been rocketing towards infinite space for the past 36 years. It's taken several weeks, actually, for NASA to confirm the actual exit from the solar system due to the technical setbacks and the fact that they're dealing with technology from 1977. But yesterday they made it official. It has left the building.
This is remarkable to me. And I'm not really into science fiction, but I'd like to know what the hell it's seeing out there. And I think you could see a great book or a great movie about they go beyond the solar system. What's out there, right?
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that is truly incredible. And then suppose somebody else sees them coming.
Right.
Well, exactly.
Right. And Bill, as you mentioned, it is Friday the 13th. And if you have a fear of flying, here is a flight you don't want to take today. Fenn Air has a flight from Copenhagen to Helsinki. It flies today. It is flight number 666, flying to Helsinki, whose three-letter designation is HEL. So on Friday the 13th, you could take flight 666 to hell if you're flying Finnair. I wouldn't recommend it.
Let's make that clear. This is Finnair, F-I-N-N, not Fennair. Yeah, right. Thank you.
All right. So, Peter Fenn, what about... I hit this California minimum wage up to $10. That's a good move. I mean, the federal's only $7.25, and President Obama wants to increase it to $9.25, I think, right?
With this Congress bill, we're not going to get an increase in the minimum wage. They don't want to do a damn thing for the middle class. We've discovered that for over many years. So what do? You put the pressure on them, at least with states. You have states raise the minimum wage. The other thing about this, it seems to me, is it's good for the economy. You're going to see more spending. Yep. These folks are going to be able to move up. The other thing, it's good for the states. Where would you want to move if you're a minimum wage worker? Sure. Heck, I'm going to go to a place where it's higher. Yep. So maybe there's going to be a little competition on this. Maybe some of the other progressive states will get on board and start moving it.
Right. This is the state Senate voted this way yesterday, and Governor Jerry Brown, of course, says it's long overdue. He's going to sign it. It has the support of the Assembly Speaker, John Perez, so it'll pass the Assembly. So it's going to happen.
Your state, California, leading again?
California, here we go. Yeah, we lead in the good and the bad sometimes, right both ways. I wonder, I don't know, Peter, whether you knew this or not, or either one of the Peters here. Today in Russia is the eighth annual celebration of Conception Day.
Oh, I saw this.
And they are advising couples to stay off work today and try to have a baby. Now,
okay.
Sure.
If you say so.
Why not?
Yeah, why
take
not?
a day off.
At least you could practice.
Yeah, right.
If you're not actually trying to have a baby.
But
the practice is
isn't
fun.
that remarkable? They actually, prizes are awarded to the couples who give birth exactly 9 months from the unofficial, from the public holiday. Right. So they keep track of this, and
Okay.
I thought every day was Conception Day.
Well, I was just going to say, if it's the Russians, one day a year, that's pretty scary.
This caught my eye this morning. I didn't know what that means, but I wonder if anybody's ever tried to. We have the Congress is declaring,
all kinds of days.
all kinds.
Listen, we wouldn't know this if it happened.
Conception Day.
Concepcion. That's what we call it. I don't know.
We have to talk to our friend Sam Farr about.
Yes, that's a good. I'm sure there'd be a lot of folks lining up to do that one.
Yeah, honey. I normally wouldn't, but it's Conception Day. We have to.
All right. Now, there are more important issues playing out this week, Peter. Big switcher. So, on Syria, right?
Right.
A lot of people are saying. God, look at President Obama. He started out saying, well, we're not going to intervene in the civil war. And then he switches to Syria use chemical weapons. We're going to bomb the hell out of them. But we're going to go to Congress first. And now we end up saying, no, we're going to ask Congress to delay while we go back to diplomacy in Syria. Does it, how does this play out politically for Obama?
I think that right now it's a problem, serious problem. He was about to lose a congressional vote. There's probably no doubt about that. It just wasn't going. Even if he had given a speech on Tuesday night, which was all go instead of the negotiations,
originally planned,
which was originally planned, I'm not sure that was gonna move enough people. The difficulty. I think now is these, as Kerry said yesterday, these are not easy negotiations. This is really tough stuff to make sure that it's verifiable that they've got it.
Yeah,
and how long do you go on with this?
You cannot trust Putin and Assad, right?
And at this point, no. But you have no choice but to proceed along this line. My sense of this is that if this goes on for a few weeks, we get the UN report. It's fairly devastating, but not completely devastating when it comes to Assad, that it makes it very difficult for the president to bomb Syria with a congressional thumbs down, and so I think that the hope that they have is that they can put something together that the United Nations kind of begins to step in, that we have the international community kind of coming together around this. And not only, people talk about war weary, yeah, fine. But, the other problem with this is that the inconsistency of message, as you said. No one's quite clear exactly why and what it is that we're doing. And folks say, listen, way back with Cambodia and the mass slaughter there, with Idi Amin in Uganda, now with the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with the Sudan. This happens all over the world, these atrocities, these genocides. And it is extraordinarily difficult for the United States alone to stop this kind of stuff. And then folks say, hey, why here and why not there? Yeah. And so when you have a war-weary country to begin with, then you really have to have a compelling argument. And the compelling argument for the president is clearly, look, chemical weapons are different than anything else. Mm-hmm. But playing it out is harder.
By the way, my column is up at our website, BillPressShow.com. I guess if we send it out, Peter, we tweet it out. But
we're about to. Yeah,
so they're going to put this on the Hill too. The Hill, or is this your?
This is my other column.
You can write so many columns.
But it's on Syria with Vladimir Putin. Trust but verify, and it's available today. It'll be out soon on our Twitter feed and on Facebook, and you can catch it at BillPressShow.com. So the criticism, and a lot of it valid, I think, of the president's pivoting and changing direction here on Syria. But in the end, if he is able to achieve, Syria gets rid of its chemical weapons,
right?
And they sign the convention, the Chemical Weapons Convention,
right,
without a shot being fired. Who cares whether the process was messy or not?
Exactly.
Right?
Now,
right?
this to me. The other one politically was a lose-lose. This potentially is a win-win for him because, look, he's shown some statesmanship. He's tried to bring the world together. This is an important issue for folks to focus on. And this isn't just a little cache of chemical weapons.
No.
This is serious.
They've got more than anybody else.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the potential there, I think, for the president to pull this off, and that's why he's got to pursue it, and we have to, I think, all of us.
And, for all those people who say, the UN's nothing, we shouldn't pay attention to the UN, we shouldn't pay any attention to the Geneva Conventions, excuse me, this is important stuff, and we should be paying attention to it, and it does matter.
Right, absolutely. Peter Fenn here as a friend of Bill. Join the conversation anytime at 866-55-PRESS on Syria, on the minimum wage, on Conception Day, if you want. But Peter, when we come back, the Republicans are yet again targeting Obamacare. They never give up, do they? It's the Friday, September 13 version of the Bill Press Show.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show. is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour, here, the Bill Press Show, Friday, September 13. In studio with us as a friend of Bill, Peter Fenn, a Democratic strategist. And you can follow Peter online at Peter H. On Twitter.
Twitter, yeah.
At Peter H. Fenn. Peter H. Fenn, Fenn. We'll be joined by Jen Bendery from Huffington Post here at the half. Peter, you and I are Democrats, and you're a Democratic strategist, and I'm a former Democratic candidate. But what's going on with the Republican Party today? I mean,
they're
still out to get Obamacare.
Yeah, well, you mean the suicide caucus, as I refer to it?
Well, it seems that way.
Large group of, it's absolutely extraordinary to me. 40 votes isn't enough to kill Obamacare. They got to keep on. And this notion that they won't, they're basically going to sink the economy if Democrats don't sink Obamacare is completely ludicrous.
They have tied keeping the government open, paying our bills, the debt ceiling and everything, to getting rid of Obamacare. It's been the law of the land for 3 years.
Right. And, the argument I would make to these folks is, look, you think this is so horrendous and so horrible? You think it's you think it's going to be your great political club that you can beat Democrats over the head with for a while? Well, let it go into force, let it work and get going. And if the thing falls flat in its face, then you guys look like Sears. But they won't even do that. I mean, their intention is to undermine it, so it could never work. And that's, to me, outrageous. I mean, there was a small group who tried to do that with Medicare, a very small group, because the popularity of that grew very quickly. But we remember, or I don't remember so well, and you don't either, but in the late 50s, early 60s, the poll numbers were pretty bad on socialized medicine.
Leave it right there. We'll pick that up with Jen Bendery and Peter Fenn when we come back here on the Bill Press Show.
Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Happy Friday, September 13. How about it? It's the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital, and we got it covered. We got the politics covered with Peter Fenn, Democratic strategist, good friend, and a friend of Bill here for the hour. Peter, always good to see you.
Great to be back.
And we got the White House and the Congress covered with Jen Bendery, who is a great reporter for Huffington Post. She and I hang out at the White House together sometimes, and she's here in studio with us. Hey, Jen, nice to see you.
What's up, dude?
Sup.
You're so hip.
And Peter Ogburn.
Yeah, hey, really quick question.
Speaking of hip,
before we get
yes, really quick topic I want to throw in, because the National Guard just announced that in Lyons, Colorado, in Boulder County, they are evacuating the entire town of Lyons, Colorado because of the flash floods. Yeah,
oh my God.
The National Guard says they have a high mobility vehicle that could transport about 2,000 residents, and they're going to get them all out of there as soon as daybreak hits there. So it's bad in Lyons, Colorado.
Whoa.
The whole town being evacuated.
You saw that video yesterday of the rescue workers rescuing a guy from his car. The car had flipped over in the riverbed, and water was just rushing through it, and he was trapped in his car. Unbelievable video.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and it continues, and it's still raining there up in the mountains.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Is that so? I haven't been following this that closely. It's all from rains? Like, where did the flooding begin?
Yeah. There's a small dam that overflowed there, too. The last time this happened this bad, I guess, was in the 70s. But some of the folks they interviewed were there then and said, I don't want to see this happen again. So they're moving in.
All right. Peter, thanks for bringing us up to date. Jen, we were talking, you were at the Vice President's home last night for a big reception celebrating Violence Against Women Act, the passage of it and signing of it, right?
That's right. It was marking the 19th anniversary of VAWA being
and he's
a law.
The original author.
He is. He wrote it
in
himself.
The Senate. Yeah, right. And he was in rare form last night?
He was in rare form last night. You know, I laugh to myself when it comes to Vice President Biden because I actually volunteer to be the pool reporter for events when he's going to be speaking. You don't, as a reporter, you don't get paid extra to cover pool events. You kind of do it, it's part of the job. You say, sure, they need a pool reporter for the night. I'll do it. It's going to take up my whole night. No extra money, but I'm going to do it. For Biden, I'll do it. I'll drop almost anything to cover him because you never know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
And last night was a gold mine. He said, He said that the most important thing of his entire career, 30 plus years in politics, was the Violence Against Women Act. It's a very near and dear cause to him. Mm-hmm. That was sort of touching. He also said that he railed against House Republicans who tried to block the bill from passing earlier this year for months. It went into last year. They were trying to hold up the entire Violence Against Women Act. Again, Violence Against Women Act, because there were new provisions in it that Democrats wanted in there to help protect LGBT people, Native Americans, and immigrants who were victims of domestic abuse.
Extended,
right, it expanded the Violence Against Women Act
to more women.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And more specific groups that actually face domestic abuse. So there was an ongoing fight. It went on for months. It finally became law in February. But what was interesting is that Biden was working behind the scenes the whole time with Republicans in the House to try to get the bill passed, being very diplomatic, encouraging them to pass it. Last night, he was not very diplomatic, and he called people who were blocking it something like a group of Neanderthals. He was shocked that they wouldn't let the bill through. He laughed off their charges, that some pieces of the new parts of the bill were unconstitutional. I mean, he basically let off steam from 6 months ago that he couldn't say then.
Good for him.
Well, and he had to spend a whole year to do this with the Congress. And at the end of the day, the Hastert rule had to get thrown out the window because you weren't going to get a majority of Republicans in the House of Representatives to vote, for the Violence Against Women Act. I mean, excuse me, this is the suicide caucus up there.
And don't forget that this was all happening right after the presidential election, where the number one issue, well, at least one of the top issues in that campaign was women.
Right.
This whole idea of a war on women.
It's their idea is let's continue it. I think that's his main point, is that he can't believe that this is in this day and age.
That's exactly what his point was. He said, "Can you guys here believe that it's been 17 or 18 years since the Violence Against Women Act became law, and we're still fighting to get it passed?"
Jen, your piece is up on the front page of Huffington Post this morning. Biden blames Neanderthal crowd. Yeah.
And he also, for good measure, he also mentioned last night that P.S. Remember, last year, remember when I accidentally went off script, and said that I supported gay marriage before the president ever endorsed it? Well, I'm not sorry at all for that either. He just sort of threw that out there too. That was great.
Yeah, it's a little bonus, right? Yeah. The president might not have been happy, but but you know what? Good for
it worked.
Good for
No, the
Joe
whole
Biden.
thing
it worked.
was, yeah.
And it really was a message to President Obama. Come on, get off the dime here and do it. You're going to do it anyhow. Now, to sort of put a political point on this, Sunday, September 15, Vice President Biden is going to Iowa to speak at the Tom Harkin Steak Fry, which is always seen as sort of a launching pad for presidential candidates.
Right.
What's this all about, Peter?
Well, not only is he going to Iowa, but he's going to South Carolina too, right afterwards.
On Monday, he's going to Charleston.
Yes, that's another very early primary state. I think we put it in the category of keep your options open. And and Tom Harkin. Look, Tom Harkin has been a longtime friend.
Yes,
and those two are very close. And Harkin, of course, is not running again for the Senate. So there's a real emotional pull there, I think, too. So when Harkin asked him, one thing about Biden, loyal. Mm-hmm. He'll stick with you. I mean, my old boss, Frank Church, he was unbelievably loyal to him. He'd come out to Idaho, for Bethy and Church, his widow. I mean, he'll do things for his Senate colleagues, for folks he grew up with.
But there's going to be a lot of buzz.
I think he doesn't mind the buzz.
I think he loves the buzz. He's keeping people guessing.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's talk about how this week ends up politically. We were there together for the briefing early in the week when we thought that before the president's speech was all going to be about, here's why we have to bomb Syria, and the president's speech is, here's why I've asked Congress to hold off, right? In a day, just kind of flipped. So now at the end of the week, we've got John Kerry in Geneva trying to get the negotiations going. How does the president survive, or how's he look at the end of this week, Jen?
He's taking some hits. Republicans on the Hill are using this to exploit.
You've been talking to a lot of people on the Hill about
this. And the Republicans are always, many of them are looking for an excuse to take a shot at Obama. So this is just throwing fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
And it's, to be fair, it's a really horrible situation that Obama's in. I've thought several times how I don't envy him in this case. And Congress is they're making a lot of noise right now. And really this comes down to things outside of Congress. This comes down to what's John Kerry talking about right now overseas? What's the president thinking about as he's reading Putin's op-ed in the New York Times?
Yeah.
That's, basically taking shots at him, and people in Congress are taking shots at him. The week hasn't been great to the president, but the one thing that does stand out through it all is the fact that he keeps making it clear that a military option is on the table. He is not backing away from that. And that is what the White House wants people to know. That's what they want Russia to know. That's what they want Syria to know. And there's even some Republicans in the House who are saying, don't forget, that's
Peter, does it strike you as odd, maybe, that there's so many people who are hawks on Iraq, where there were no weapons of mass destruction, are doves on Syria, where there are clearly weapons of mass destruction, and Assad is using them against his people.
And some who were hawks on Syria too, and the new hawks like Rubio, who suddenly said, "No, I'm going to vote against this." It's like, excuse me, talk about whipsawed.
Yeah,
it seems to me right now that there is no real question that we would not be in these negotiations, that Kerry wouldn't be over there talking with the Russians if the threat of force were not on the table. I mean, I think there's no doubt about that.
I think everybody believes that, even if they won't admit it.
That's what I was going to say, even the Republicans. So, there's frustration on the part of many of them. John McCain, obviously, is the leading one. He tends to be a little bombastic, obviously, always has been. But, he's had at least a consistent position on Syria. You have to hand that to him. But I think his distaste for Putin is probably not, it's understandable in a way. But at this point, it's all you got. Right, I mean, you gotta negotiate this.
And I think
play it out.
The one thing that might have brought everybody together was being lectured to by Vladimir Putin. When Putin started talking to us about democracy and about freedom,
right. Well, and the op-ed bill was written by Ketchum Communications out of New York, the PR firm for the Russians that has been paid over $1 million to do this. That to me was like, whoa, excuse me? What's wrong with this picture?
They wrote the op-ed? And
well, I mean, they placed it. They put the thing together. They're his PR firm.
You know damn well that Putin didn't write it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
His English ain't that good.
I know. I've actually spoken to him. Here we go. Jen Bendery is here from Huffington Post. Peter Ogburn, yes, he's here too.
Yes, I'm here
and
too.
Peter Fenn, Democratic strategist. And you are welcome to join the conversation here on Friday the 13th, 866-55-PRESS. You got a question for these two brilliant strategists? Give us a call.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go at 12 minutes now before the top of the hour, winding it up on a Friday morning, September 13, with two good friends in studio. Jennifer Bendery is a reporter, political reporter, covers the White House and Congress for Huffington Post. Follow all their good work at HuffingtonPost.com. And Peter Fenn, Democratic strategist here, active for many years in the Capitol, and a good friend of the program, here as a friend of Bill. Yes, indeed. Jen, let me ask you, so I understand that Congress has worked so hard. I mean, they came back from, they had a 5-week break in August. They came back Monday, all prepared to jump in Monday evening, I should say, not Monday morning, Monday evening, to jump into this big debate, which then ended up not happening. And so they left yesterday at 11 o'clock Thursday morning. Poor people. You worked them so hard. I mean, any people over there realize what, lazy bums they look like?
I've been covering Congress for about 7 years now, and they regularly get criticized for not doing very much and having all these breaks. But I have to say, number one, I would say that in some ways that is valid. And then number two, particularly in the last year or so, it has been really bad. I mean, they're just not doing anything.
It's worse, Peter, hasn't it?
It's because it's like you're compounding the recess schedules they have, which, they're gone a week, they come back for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're gone another week. Granted, they have to go back to their districts to, be with their constituents, but they're not doing anything when they're actually in session. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, and Congressman John Yarmouth from Kentucky told us yesterday, so they left yesterday at 11. They come back not Monday this next week, but Tuesday. They're here supposedly until Friday, and then they have the next week off.
Mm-hmm. There is some talk that they may stick around, but who knows what they're going to do. But this, starting with Gingrich, the Tuesday to Thursday club has been the real downfall. I mean, I remember when I worked in the Senate, it was Monday to Friday. Let me tell you, most nights we were out of there at 6:30, 7 o'clock. I mean, it wasn't this crazy schedule. It was reasoned. You could put stuff on the calendar. You could count on it. You could make a damn plane reservation and stick to it. And these people, never know when they're going to be on a plane. And I think one of the things that they've got to do is get back to much more of the Monday to Friday stuff, and then occasionally give folks 3 days, 4-day weekends. But going back to the district every weekend is a disaster for
to me, it's actually more about what they're doing when they are here.
That is true.
I mean, you can't overlook that. Okay, there's hearings going on. Right. They're moving some bills in committees. That's there's something happening. But if you look at the House and Senate floor, there's nothing moving. And that's the end of the day. You got to have bills moving, and they're not moving.
But, Jen, one of the things about this is these people have to talk to each other in an informal way, not just in those hearings. No one shows up on the floor anymore, heaven forbid. But, you have got to have this sense that we're having these side meetings. We're trying to put this stuff together. You've got coalitions. You've got folks on different parties working together, which used to happen. Doesn't happen anymore. And the little time that they're here, from what I could see, the priority still is for the Republicans to get rid of Obamacare.
Right.
They
I think
just will not let go.
The driving factor here is there's this faction of House Republicans who want to keep voting over and over and over to vote, to repeal, to take, freeze, defund, derail all or some of Obamacare. And that is sucking the oxygen out of the House. And as half of Congress, it's sucking the oxygen out of the entire building because nothing can move. They will not support the most basic bills that are required of lawmakers, such as keeping the government funded. That's a basic minimum responsibility. Pass a budget, keep the government running. They can't even do that.
So there is a real possibility that at least some Republican members of the House would be willing to and really would like to, I think, shut the government down, right?
I think there's a possibility.
And how does that play politically, Peter?
Deadly.
Ask Newt Gingrich,
I mean,
right?
If you look at Nina Easton, who's a Fox News analyst, wrote a piece for her magazine talking about this caucus, this group of Republicans, and she used a Maurice Sendak story of this little kid saying, I don't care. Well, a lot of these Republicans, they don't care, or they don't seem to care. And I think it comes back to haunt them. I mean, I think this is devastating in off-year elections. I think, if they can't nominate one of these I don't care Republicans to be president of the United States and expect to win. So, it is why you're here. I mean, why are you here if not to try to get something done to actually be responsible as legislators? And that's why they have a 10% disapproval.
I think many of them would argue they're here specifically because they don't want government in their lives. So they are actually acting out the very thing that they profess to believe. They're trying to jam up government.
But it isn't just government. It's the economy.
Right.
It's the country. It's our standing in the world. And to me, this is such an example of irresponsibility.
All right. That having been said, we're going to take the weekend off.
Okay.
All right. Hey, guys, thanks so much
Bill.
for being here. Jen Bendery,
Thanks,
HuffingtonPost.com. Peter Fenn, Democratic Strategist. I'll get the last word with a quick parting shot. Thank you.
You always do.
This is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, indeed. You know, for Catholics and non-Catholics alike, it's hard to believe the news coming out of the Vatican this week. First, the Pope's new Secretary of State said it was time to re-examine the issue of celibacy for priests, noting correctly that the requirement that priests not marry is only church tradition, not church law. Now, as if that's not enough radical change for 1 week, Pope Francis himself seemed to pull the rug out from organized religion. Ask if you have to believe in God to get to heaven. The Pope said, no, it doesn't matter whether you believe in God at all. All you have to do is follow your conscience and do the right thing, which must give hope to atheists everywhere, but drive true believers crazy. After all, if you don't have to believe in God to get to heaven, why go to church every Sunday? Why pray? Why contribute any money to the church? And why do we even need a pope? You know what? I don't know about you, but I'm starting to like this new guy a lot. Yeah. And in that, think about that this weekend. Take time out. Recharge your batteries. Have a good time. Kick back. Relax. Have a great weekend. Come back and see us again on Monday. Have a good one, everybody.
This is the Bill Press Show.